So we are logged in our admin panel, and as the owner of the site, we need to as well manage the people that are coming to our sites to use it. So we can just create a CRUD functionality for such users, like listing all the users that are in our platform, even managing their account details and all of that. So this is already a template we have, but this one is hard coded, it's not coming from the database. So we need to make everything dynamic. Everything should come from database. So from users here, the only user we have currently is this user. So later we'll create more users and see if it will show in this place. But at least since we have one, let's just for now work with that one. So once we click on this sidebar menu, once we click on users, it takes us to the users route. I think we must have created the route already. Let's check routes admin.php. So this is the route. It's a resource route, so which we will use to manage our so we have users controller in this admin.php. We have it also, that means we've already created itself. Okay, we'll just set up the CRUD stuff in the controller, but nothing is really working like that yet. Then we would, I think we have the front end already. Views, backend, users, create, edit. We don't need to create. Users will be created by themselves, so we actually don't need create at all. Because once the user enter our application and they register, create an account, automatically that user has been created. So we don't need to create a user by our own self. Let them come to the site and create an account by themselves. So my point is we won't be needing this create. But probably let's just leave this create.blade.php just to keep the template. So is it necessary? I think we already did something related to form creation here. Yeah, we can delete this, I think so. From label, from select, we can delete this create stuff. So we won't need the create. We just need edit, index, and show pages. So let's start with the first one, the index page, which means let's work on the controller first. So as you remember, index page is used to grab the list of data of a particular table, showing it in a table like this. So for now, we are only showing the view. That's why we are saying the view, and this view is hard coded. So we need to fetch real data from the database and then send it to the view. So in this place, let me increase the font size. So in this case, the users that are registering on our accounts is from this users model. So don't confuse. Remember, we have users model, we have admin model. This one is for admin users, while this user is for the normal customers, like people registering to the accounts in order for them to use the to do tax feature that we created then. So let's fetch all those users currently logged in our accounts. So we can just create a variable where we hold all the users, then we are going to access the users model. Then let's order it by when they are created, which is the created at, and let it be in descending order. You can as well use the simple paginate feature. So we can work on pagination probably every 10 lists. So a single page should have 10 users before we will see the pagination feature, which is the next page or previous page kind of click. So we need to import this user. So order by, just like how should it be fetched? How should all those users be fetched? So we want them to be fetched according to the time they were created in descending order. So I think that means the first person that descending order, I think in terms of timing, I think to be descending order. The latest person that create account will be at the top. The person we don't create for long could be down. I think that's what it will mean in terms of the timing. Okay, so this should fetch the information now. For us to send it to our front end, we have to come here and add that compact function, and then type the name users brackets. So this variable name users is what we are putting in this place. Let's do die dump and see what this user is holding, if it's really holding the proper data that it should be holding. So if we refresh this page, we should see a die dump feature. Okay, simple paginate, not pagination. So if I click this, no, click this, click this, click this, click this. So we have this data, which means it is indeed fetching the proper data because this user is the only current user or customer on our website. We check phpMadmin, is the same data that is there, which is what is showing us here. So indeed it is fetching the appropriate data, which it will then send it to the views. So we have to then go to the views and set up our table to fetch that data so that the table can show in a dynamic format, because right now the data there is not dynamic. So index, backend users index, so resource backend users index page. Let's refresh. So this is hard coded. Let's modify it. So let's say this would be the counting. This will be the name of the user. This will be the email of the user. Then the actions button. So since the users, remember this users is sent to the users is sent into this view. So we are going to use a for each loop. So, but you can first confirm to be sure if anything is even sent there at all in the first place. So you can come here for the table data, add a check using an if statement. So if directive, confirm you are using if stuff, use directive inside the blade.php. So if users is empty, else. So if users is empty, and if there are no user, let it print out no registered user yet on the platform. But else, that is if there is an actual user there, else let it show all of this. Let's end the if statement, end if. So it's going to let it show all of the whole data coming from there, which we are going to use a for each loop to loop each of the stuff. Because it's surely going to be an array. So the array that would be holding all the users in. Well, if we have multiple rows, small users, all of them would then be in an array. So we need to loop all of them and send them to the table because this is a single row. So the single row has to be looped multiple times to show different users in a long table format. So for each users as user, for each users as user, you can end also the for each loop. And for each this. So now this is a loop for each users as user. So this is the one that is taking the actual data from each of the, because this users is holding an array normally, while this one is taking a single user from that array one by one. So which means instead of we are coding all these names, we'll just use that user to get the name, which is this single user, then gets the name. And I think the first one will be ID though. That's the numbering. Looking at the table here, we have the ID first, or the count, then we have the name next. Let's check, is there really name here? Okay, full name, username, email, password. Okay, it's actually full name. Okay. We can extend the table, sha. So if I paste this full name, paste this username, which means in this place I have to add extra table heading, full name, username, then we have email, then actions. For the actions, that time we intentionally had to hard code the ID because the ID is always needed for this show and edit routes. But this time around, we don't need to manually write a random ID, which I wrote here one. So this time around, this will be fetched from the database, which is the user ID. So in case it is 2, 3, any random number coming from the database of that user ID, so to retrieve the appropriate ID. So this should work fine. If you refresh this now, you should see the appropriate data here. Yeah, so the count, the name, username, email, and the actions. Let's do something. Let's log out. I want to create a new user for the platform itself. So I'm going to the home page. So let's register a new user. There's not much. Register. Okay, so I've created one user. Let's create another one. Register. So I've created another user. Let's refresh this and see if we would see them here. So you can see the two extra users created as the two customers came to the site to create an account and all of that. But we as the admin, we can track them. We can know the new people that are creating accounts. So let's go back to our admin panel. Go to users here. You can see we have all of them here. And indeed, the latest person that creates the account is the one showing first. Because of that, it's sending all that stuff. If we were to make it in ascending order, it's the one that created the first created account on the platform that would be shown first, which is this one. If I refresh this, it will rearrange, you can see. But I think the descending order is best to use. But in that case, the counting is not looking good, so can as well just remove the counting, which is coming from the ID here. So since we're using the descending order, so 3, 2, 1 doesn't look good. So let's just remove the counting, is not necessary. Yeah. refresh. Sorry, it's better this way. Okay. So let's start with the show. We won't even need this part because we're not creating a user by ourselves. But let's just leave this one just in case we would need it in another of our sidebar, just to keep the design. So we'll just leave it here for now to see a use for it. Then we'll grab it and use it somewhere else. Then we'll delete it here. So let's start with the show page. So if I click on show in one of these, so the show is not dynamic yet. You can see we're still seeing the John Doe hard coded stuffs. So let's make it dynamic as well. So for the controller, this is the show controller. So the show controller would need to retrieve the appropriate stuff it wants to show. So we need to work on this one too. How would we do that? Come to this place. We want to show a particular user on the users table. We need to grab the ID of that user too. So because we need to know which user, so we need the ID. Part of why the show link here has an ID. So it's going to send that ID to this our method. Then you can use the ID to know what to track. Okay, so user show find or fail ID. So to find all the data that is for this particular ID inside the users table, then we need to send it to our front end view. So as usual, compact user. This one, if you notice, I'm using plural, singular, because of course when we are showing something, I'm only showing data of one single user. This one I use users because I'm using plural here because this one we're showing multiple lists of users. But this one we're showing a single list, so that is the naming convention I'm using, and that's why I'm using singular here. So this user will be sent to our show page. So we need to work on the show page, user details. So John Doe, instead of John Doe, remove it and retrieve that user that we're sending, and then the full name. So I think we have name, username. So let me just copy this and paste it here. Full name, username. Full name, username, no, we don't need password, email. We can also add the ID. Let's include the ID of the user. Let's put it at the top. ID number. ID. We don't need rows, joined when they created their account, so we can use this. So joined when, so for this time around we're going to use created at, just when the account was created. And this created at, remember it's actually inside the table also. Just go here, look at created at here. So the dates their accounts as was created. So created underscore at. So we have edit user in case you want to take them to the edit page or back to the users page. I think for back to the users page, route admin dot users dot index. For the edit page, the edit page is just similar to how it was here. Let's copy this one. Admin users dot edit, then the user ID. Yeah. So let's refresh this page. So ID3 Adane this the date joined in 25th 12/0, the time also. Back to users Gladys, back to users Alex. So everything is working fine. So if I click edit user, let's see if it takes us to edit page. It takes us to the appropriate edit page, but although this one is not really still edit page, we need to work on this edit page and also retrieve the data depending on the user ID that we are trying to edit. As usual, we need to retrieve those information. So first of all, since we're going to the edit page, we won't need to create. So let me remove the create method from this. Sometimes when you won't need some methods, like now as I remove that create method, it's optional to do it, it's not like it's mandatory, just a feature I think is nice for you to know. I can just come here and add in this place except, then I will add create. So what this means, because on the norms, when you are using a resource route, it automatically know that you are going to need or use index method, edit method, create method, show method, display method, like all of those methods. But now I'm telling it that while we by default we are expected to use all those methods, I'm telling the Laravel now that I won't be using the create method. If we check, if we use the route list PHP artisan route list, let's locate this admin stuff, this admin routes which have these resource users. Let's see if to show us the creates, which I don't expect it to show. So this is admin users. So you can see now the admin users index store. There is no more create. Even this store, we don't need this store because when we're talking about create and store, they work hand in hand, just like edits and updates. So we don't need this store also. So I'm going to come here. I'll make this an array. Then I'll add the comma store. So we won't need the store, the create and store. Anything involving create and store, we won't need it. So right now the store is showing, but let's rerun this thing. It won't show again because we've put it as X. We have excluded it out. Where is it? So yeah. So we have index show update, destroy, edit. So you can see no more create and no more store. So it's just a way of just reducing resources unnecessary. Even if you input this, doesn't mean your project won't work, but it's just for more clarity and all of that. So just so back to the controller. So we won't be needing store. I will remove this store. So what's left now? So what's left is for us to do the edits, edit and update, then the delete. So for the edits part, the edits would work like the show. Since we are going to first retrieve the data that we're trying to edit, so I'm just going to paste what we did in the show. So it should fetch the information from the ID, and then we add our compact stuff. So let's go to the edit page. Resources, views, backend, users, edit. I think, yeah, backend users, edit. So we need to retrieve informations first. We're going to use the word value. Value, the stuff we are retrieving is user, which is coming from the compact stuff that we did here. So the user data, just like we did in this show. So user full name. So we even need to change this input here to full name. Then we have another one. Let me duplicate this. Username. So this one would be holding. We'll retrieve the username. But the next one is email. We won't be retrieving password. Yeah, we won't be retrieving rules. Yeah. I just feel like these rules, let me comment it out, as I feel like we might need it later on. Well, for now we don't need it, but that's why I just want to comment it out. So according to the code, it's not existing currently. So type submit. Let's refresh. So you can see it retrieve all the data, full name, blah blah blah. Wait, the email is not correct. Showing Gladys, I think we okay, email with input, use username here instead of email. So let's reload again. Good. You can even add the person's name here. So edit user, can just maybe edit the name of the person, edit Gladys user or something like that. Let's use the username. I can put it at this place in the heading. So if I refresh, edit Gladys user. So it's just something I just want to just make you know, it's something you can decide to do if you want. So now edit, we need to make the edit itself to work. So this is a form method posts auction routes admin.users.updates, because we need it to take us to these updates. method, and that's the name. So update method, this is the name of the route from the resource routes. If we go back here, where is it? Admin users. So for us to access the update method, users.admin.users.update, and the method here is update method inside the controller. So that is why we need to access it with this name of routes. So which is what I wrote here. Then as usual, anything involving form submission in, yeah, we have to add this CSRF token stuff. And this one now we are updating. So the method we are going to put in this place is the put method. The method directive. So I think we are done setting up this place. It's for us now to set it up in this our updates section for it to work properly. Mm, okay, so which particular user we are trying to update? Let's see how we did something like this. Okay, so this was the way we did it sometime before now. So you can use the same approach. It should still work. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This one is just for the image uploading ceremony that we did. So let me just copy this part, paste it here, go back, copy this other part, paste it here. Well, for this, we need this part, paste it here. So now let's modify it to suit what we are supposed to be doing for our stuff here. So this would be user request instead. This user request, do we have it already? No. Okay, so we need to create this user request by ourselves. Then we retrieve the requested validated data. Let's make this one at the top first, below the request. So we need to know which particular user we're trying to update their data in. So that's why we need the ID. So to let us know which particular user to retrieve, the particular user we are trying to update the stuff for. So instead of tags, I'll change it to user. So then it will update it from the validated data which we are yet to create the request class. So once, let's assume it has updated, let it redirect us back to admin.users.index, which is the index page where there is a table. You can say user data updated successfully. So now let's create the request class for this user stuff inside this admin. Let's do it inside this admin directory. Let me use the artisan approach. So PHP artisan make me a request class inside of the backend directory named user requests. Okay, that's created it for us. We'll go to the backend, we'll see user request here. Let's just import it. Import user request. requests. Let's set this to true. You're trying to wonder why I'm still seeing red color here even after importing this class. Okay, I think this other brackets here should not be there. Yeah, I made mistake. I added another bracket here. So let's just quickly work on this import. This request class. So user requests true as usual. So rows. Let's just take this. What am I doing? Let's just take a simple. Let's use, I think, the register. Yeah. Take it from here. Because remember, the register is how we are creating the users. So the rows will still be like the same idea. So let's take that rows from the register and use the same rows here. We don't need the unique here since we're not, because register is more like creation. So we're not creating, we're just editing. Don't need that. So we can leave everything the way it is like this. Okay, so let's refresh. Let's try to update. Wait. Okay. We didn't send the ID as well in this route, so this route is not complete, which is inside the index.update. This route here, we are supposed to also send the ID. If we check the route stuff we did, admin route users updates. So if you see this update, it needs an ID, which is this ID we're seeing here, this user, which is kind of like an ID. So the name of the route is not complete for updates. Updates route always need an ID, so that's why we needed to add it, which was the error we saw here. This error is a missing parameter user, which means this ID. So let's refresh again. So let me just add S, yeah, A, yeah, A, yeah. So let's see if this would update this data update. Did it update? I don't think so. It didn't update though. It didn't update. It didn't even redirect us to this page. Or probably full name, string, username, email. Why is it not working? Update. Let me see. Database refresh. It's not updating. What could be the issue now? Let's see if this validated request is actually holding anything. Validated data. Validated. Be sure if it's holding something to be sure if something is indeed really being sent to this update method or not. So let's check what this thing is holding. So Let's refresh again first. Updates. Okay, it's not even working, it's not submitting at all. Then let's check this out front end. We have the form tag. So we have button type submit. Okay, name. We didn't add name to this stuffs. That was why. So full name, name. We did add the name attributes. Full name, username, email, because this is what is holding those datas. Now let's try again. As updates. Now that name attribute is now holding, which is standing like the key. So it's now holding the actual data we're trying to update. Good. Let me go back. So let me remove the dump stuff that I put this stuff. So let's update again and see if it's going to work. Let me first refresh. So S update. Okay, I think it's updated though. Yeah, it's updated because it redirects us to this appropriate route. But inside this route, we have a create route inside of it. Inside this index page, we have a create. Remember, we deleted the create, so it's telling us that this route is not defined. And well, since we don't need it, we can just comment it out because we're no longer dealing with create anymore. Remember, I also excluded it in the route. So let's go to the index page. So it's noticing that the create route is still here, but it's not existent, which is understandable. So let's just comment this out. I think it's still noticing it. This comment approach now. Let's use the blade commenting. Blade has its own way of commenting too. So curly brackets. I think something like this. No, yeah, something like this. So I'll just copy this whole link and paste it. And see now it only comments everything. So this one is a way of how we comment in Blade. Notice the first comment approach, it didn't work well because this is accessing the Laravel Blade format. So unless it's just normal pure HTML, that you can use that for my approach. But if you notice that it's not fully commenting everything, you have to just use the normal Blade commenting and to comment everything properly. So if you refresh here, this error will remove. So you can see declare this is updated. If you check the show, it's there also. If we check add page, be my admin, refresh this page, it's there. So yeah, back to users. So I think that's okay. We have not done delete yet. So delete is the last option left. So for the delete functionality, let's just close all of this. Tabs done plenty. So this is the delete for now. The setup for the delete, we've not done anything special. not done anything special yet. So we need to, I think for the delete, we always delete is like a post request, something like a form kind of post request submission when we're trying to delete something. So let's do it this way. Even this paginate, I just remember something. Remember we added paginate, simple paginate here, just like how we did in this tax controller. You check the index of this tax controller, we added the pagination stuff. We check the front end view for that tax controller, the index page. Down, scroll down, we have this stuff, so we have to copy this and use it also, so that we can see the pagination link. That's the next previous page, next page, and all of that. So we can put it after the table. But the name here would be users. So now working on this delete aspects. The routes, if we check our routes list again, destroy. So this is the name of the routes for the delete part. So admin.users.destroy, and this will access the destroy method that is inside the users controller. So we need to call this name, and now if you notice here, it needs an ID also. So when naming the route, ensure to add the ID to it. So just like the way we did here. So I can just copy this, paste. So but this one is going to be destroy admin.user.destroy, I think. Yeah, admin.users.destroy. Then the ID. So this will redirect, once we click on it, to take us to this destroy method. So for you to delete the particular user for us, how can we? The destroy method is always straightforward. We just need to know the user we want to destroy. If you notice, we are kind of like repeating the approach somehow for all this route that requires ID. Using this find or fail stuff, this update needed an ID, it was ID, it was what we use. This edit needed an ID, this is also what we use. This show needed an ID, this is also what we use. So you can know which particular user, which means you also need to add the ID here. So this will let us know which particular ID we want to delete or destroy. So take user, the delete method. The delete is always straightforward. So it will automatically know, once it's clicked, it will check which user do you want to delete, then to run the delete. So once that the delete is redirect us to the same page. So return redirect back. With success message. User data deleted successfully. So direct back means the same page where you already there, just reload the same page. If I click on delete here, it will redirect back to the same page. So that is basically what it means. But we've not handled all the success message alerts yet, as we are not seeing it yet. So we can add it at the top. Let's just copy the success the way we set it up in this our tags. So just copy this part. So we can paste it anywhere, all users. Let's put it at the top in this place. So it should be here. Just paste it here. So refresh. So let's delete. I delete my own information, this particular user, this customer of our site. If I click on delete, it's taking me to the show page. No, let's check the index page. Users.destroy user ID, delete. Why is it not taking me to the show page? Refresh, delete. Now that is weird. Edit, show. Delete. Let's separate this. Wait, let's see how we did the delete in the tags. I think we used delete stuff in the formal tags stuff index. Probably we used a post request for that delete. Let me confirm. Okay, that was what we used. We used a form submission logic and a post request for it to work. Okay, let's follow the same exact pattern. So I'll copy that and just paste it here. So the name of the route, let's, what's going on now? The name of the route will still be this route's name. So change this format one. I'm not going to do this my cursor, my mouse, paste. So method posts confirmation if you want to delete this user, just so that they are sure that you want to delete that user. Then the method, the method will be delete method. Very true. I think if we check that route, destroy, the method here deletes. Okay, so that was why it didn't work. We didn't even confirm. That's why we need to even make it form submission. So the method here is delete. So that's why we use the delete here. Then the actual delete. So we can just remove all of this. So let's maintain the class so it will look the same way as others. So I'll just copy the bootstrap design. It's here. So remove the anchor tag. So let's try again. Let me first refresh. The design don't scatter small, but either way it will work now. So if we take delete, okay, you can see user data deleted successfully. So it's actually deleted. So that's the approach. So whenever you are dealing with delete, just use a form, just create a form tag for it and set the action. Then the method should be delete here. Always add CSRF token also. In as much as you are dealing with a form tag, you must always add CSRF. So if we check our database, I believe we shouldn't be seeing this first row anymore. So let me refresh this page. So deleted. So let's just delete another one again. Gladys data delete. Yeah, remain Adani. So yeah, everything is working. So we've performed the CRUD operation for managing all our customers that are using our sites. So maybe in the next class, like tomorrow, we can also work on their password. Maybe in case some of them chat us up that, please, I've forgotten my password. Please, can you help me to like create a new password or help me change my password? So you as the admin, you should be able to do it for them in this admin panel. So tomorrow we can work on helping them create a new password directly inside this admin panel. Then we'll send them the new password so they can use to log in case they've forgotten their password. Even though we've already done the email forgot password thing already. So any questions so far though? Okay. All right. So goodbye. Bye. Hmm?